Hey, everybody. Speaking of new, this is, I think, the beginning of my fourth month. I started in October only to just kind of catch the wave with what everyone has been already preparing to do. And what we were going to do together was actually have the National Conference on Faith-Based Service, but virtually. So I joined the team who had it all together. So thanks, Sarah Hamill. Thanks for the folks that you had worked to organize with to provide great leadership and great speakers, from Father Brian Massingale to our four hosts, our workshop hosts. And in particular, I really was appreciative of two key things in the virtual events or in the virtual conference. One was that we provided affinity spaces for the first time, partly because of what Katie had said. So thank you, Katie, and thank you, Emma. But because the signs of the times, like what do I bring? How do I support one another? How do I find that support? So the affinity spaces were really key. We had one for people of color, and we had another one for LGBTQIA folks in our community, and we had one for people who identify as allies. So you'll continue to see that we'll be pushing a little more of that space, creating more of that space in the future. So we had that conference, although it was really sad that we couldn't be together. We were together in a different way. Thank you to Bridget, who was our host. So lovely to make it fun, engaging, and in a way like help to break through the virtual space and to help us to be present with each other. So we were really excited about the number. We had 216 people, individuals who were registered and who had attended, which is so much more than we've had in the past. And we have a sneaking suspicion that it had something to do with the fact that it went virtual and we didn't have high costs of travel or other registration fees. So we were really excited about that. And we're trying to discern what Jan said, the balance of the in-person versus the virtual will be, especially as we progress, getting the vaccine and whatnot. There's no going back to never going to be virtual again. So what are our options? So there you see a little slide. There's definitely more information in our annual report. The second online virtual experience that I got to play a role in with Mike McCormick actually was our volunteer fair. And so it was our very first one. Thank you to the 12 folks. We had a combination of some campus advocates and some people from our member organizations kind of brainstorm and give us a lot of input about how we ought to do this. Overall, we were surprised. We were hoping for maybe 100 people attending, and we had over 200 attending. You can see the numbers right on the screen. And what's more fitting is that that was a prep for a really good spring volunteer fair for postgrads. So we're excited. It'll be sometime in March between the 8th and the 15th. We're still putting it together. And so I'll get to that a little later, but I'm kind of excited. I'm going to pause myself because I talk a lot. I actually want to introduce Haley Todd because she's done a course. She can speak to the virtual fair and how that impacted her. She's the new executive director for the Colorado Vincentian Volunteers. She's been new since July 2020. She's probably there with Bella, if we can see Bella, her dog. But Haley, maybe you can speak to your experience and your perspective on this, but we're really glad you're here. And why don't we give shout outs to your coworkers, Ryan Martin and Margaret Maylander. Did I say that right? All right. Awesome. So thanks as an alum and an ED. Take it away.
Hi. This is one of the gifts of COVID, is working from home on a rotating basis and getting to have your source of your peace in the background with my dog who's just cruising back there. So this is Bella. But my name, as Jocelyn said, is Haley Todd, and I'm new to the CVN family in this role as of last summer. And so what a whirlwind to be joining with the backdrop of everything that's been happening. But it's been such a gift to get to connect with all of you and really feel a sense of community across screens and across states in a way that I didn't know would be possible in this year. So we participated in the conference in October. And also in the virtual volunteer fair in November, we did the implicit bias course as well. Ryan and Margie and I did that together and found that incredibly helpful, just like Katie and Emma had shared. But some of the gifts from the conference, I think, were really that theme of reimagining and focusing on inclusivity and equity. And it was helpful on both like a value and a strategy element and a tactical way to have some small group, like the breakout times with folks, to be asking what are tactical things that we could be doing? How are you approaching this work? Getting to break into that group of three. Miss B from Catholic Volunteers in Florida and Maureen O'Rourke in Dayton, Ohio, and I were in a group, and just to get to brainstorm and be in relationship with other folks who are leading and are striving to live this value in our programs, and coming from that rooted faith tradition together was really a gift. It was also wonderful to get to connect with other folks, and we've done a ton of follow-up one-on-one Zoom with people saying, how are you putting this into action? Have you encountered this issue? Could you share your application? And been a really great asset to have so many connections across the country of people in all different stages of implementing equity in all sorts of our work. Father Massingale's message around passing the baton and really seeking the wisdom figures has resonated with us. And we've been able to draw some of the content from the national conference into board meetings and into our own staff prayer and reflection, and looking at how we can engage with that with volunteers in formation for next year. Just another shout out about what collaboration has been possible with COVID through our network is to Krista Kilgus, who's with Urban Servant Corps in Denver. We were able to gather with two other faith-based programs just this morning and brought over 20 of our area agency partners together to start a conversation about DEI and how is it going and how do we better support volunteers for next year. So like collaboration, and one of the gifts of COVID and just this network, standing in that corner and really standing on that value and committing to opening relationships and community has just sprinkled, and like it's so exciting of what are we cultivating, of what's possible for our future across the entire country. So those are a few highlights from the conference. And then I think from the volunteer fair ourselves, it was really wonderful as a brand new person to just get to meet other folks and other programs. And even as we were working and saying, oh, these are our Common Core tenants, it's like, oh, Krista does this. Oh, Amanda coordinates it this way. Oh, Rob, he really pulled in all the tech elements for our session. And we've been like building off of that and using it as a template for some of our own recruitment efforts this year. So really exciting to just be able to see how other folks are engaging and everything. And also to tap in with specific groups of students who are focused on different areas, like getting that list of students who are interested in anti-racism, who's interested in healthcare, and helping us be able to know more as young adults are discerning with us for next year, who else can we tap them into, and also how can we just be in relationship and in partnership with it all. I wrote some notes. I'm sure there are plenty of other things that I forgot, but in general, thank you for being such a welcoming space. And it's also just really reassuring and beautiful and rooting to know that this community is alive and vibrant all across the country, and that we can be a phone call, an email, or a Zoom call away as we continue to reimagine all that's ahead. So thank you. I'll pass it back off to CBN.
Thank you, Haley, and literally thank you to everybody who shared as well. So Tim and Emma and Katie, and I know you all have your stories, so share that with each other. It gives us hope